Welcome to the SJ Child Show. This episode is sponsored by Water and Body Basics. Visit 3440 South, 5600 West, West Valley City, Utah. Mention SJ Childs today.
On this episode of the SJ Child Show, Mindy Scheier, founder of the Runway of Dreams. Runway of Dreams is working towards a future of inclusion, acceptance, and opportunity in the fashion industry.
Hi, and welcome to the SJ Child Show. I'm your host, SJ Childs, and today I have a fantastic guest, Mindy Scheier. She is the CEO, probably. I didn't know all her titles. She runs the Runway of Dreams Foundation. Incredible, amazing woman to talk to today, inspiring. You guys, you're going to love this story. You're going to want to listen to it over again. So just hang on and let's welcome Mindy. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Sarah. I really, really appreciate being on the show.
It is such a pleasure to have you. And, like I had told you, and it's so funny, some of our listeners may recognize your name because in a previous episode with Faith and Karen Gilbo, they spoke so highly of you and they absolutely just adore you. And they had so much to say. So after that, there was like, I have to do a follow-up. There's got to be, a number 2 on this one to be done. So yeah, this is so fantastic to have you on today. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you started.
Absolutely. So I am actually a fashion designer by trade. I went to school, studied fashion design, went and moved right to the city the second I graduated to New York City. I forgot where I'm. Everybody thinks, sorry, New York City. And I was never a small thinker in terms of, I didn't want to just be a fashion designer. I wanted to be a global brand. I wanted to be the next Betsy Johnson. I wanted to be a household name. And I was, doing fairly well. I don't think I was quite global brand status, but I was, fairly successful in my career. And then I started having children. And my middle child, Oliver, was born with a very rare form of muscular dystrophy called rigid spine muscular dystrophy. So his version really affects his muscle strength, his pulmonary system. His body is a bit distorted in proportion. So the reality is, Sarah, I didn't even really know what muscular dystrophy was, let alone have a child with it when he came into our life. So it was one of those moments that you learn as you go.
Yeah.
He wasn't diagnosed until he was 4 years old. So there was a lot of unknown during that time. And we just wanted to keep his life as normal, typical as we possibly could, but also find ways to make it easier for him. And one of those ways was specific to his clothing. So he really struggled with buttons and zippers, putting shoes on himself, tying them, fitting pants putting pants over his leg braces, etc. So when he was of school age, he wore sweatpants every day because it was the only way that we knew he'd be able to go to the bathroom on his own, that he could wear his leg braces. And, I hate sounding so stereotypical, but he was a boy, identified as a boy, and just felt like, okay, this is what boys wear.
Comfortable, right?
Yeah. Until he was 8, and he came home one day and said, Mom, I don't want to wear sweatpants every day. I want to be able to wear jeans. I see other people get to wear other things besides sweatpants, and I want to be one of those kids.
Oh.
And it was really, as I like to say, a kick in the gut moment, not only as a mother, but also as somebody that dedicated their career to the fashion industry, that I needed my 8-year-old son to remind me of how critically important clothing is to who you are as a person,
Yeah.
how you show up to the world, your confidence, your self-esteem, your identifier. And he just simply reminded me that this isn't wearing sweatpants, just wasn't how he wanted to identify himself.
She's got chills. It's just so beautiful.
Yeah. And incredible to
Tough love
have
from our kids, right?
always, I mean, always out of the mouths of babes,
Yes.
right? So I obviously looked at that little face, and he certainly wasn't going to tell him he couldn't wear jeans. So I said, you bet you're wearing jeans tomorrow, and we'll figure it out and see you in the morning. And
oh my goodness.
That night I sat at the kitchen table and admittedly cried for probably the first hour or so, how I missed this. How could I miss this? And then gathered myself together and ripped apart a pair of his jeans, and tried to have some strategic thoughts about how to make it easier for him, so he didn't have to do the button and zipper, so that he could fit the bottom of the pants around his leg braces. So I utilized some creative rubber band tricks and some peel and stick Velcro, because it's really all I had access to at 2:00 in the morning. And he woke up the next day. It was really the first time he was ever able to independently dress himself with anything that had buttons and zippers in it. What that really did is not only opened my eyes to Oliver's needs, but it opened my eyes to the fact that if he was struggling with this at 8 years old, how in the world did the 1 billion people on our planet who have a disability, how did they manage clothing challenges, and how did it affect their lives? So that really started me on my path to creating Runway of Dreams. And this was back in 2013 that I felt that I was going to take my background and have a small goal, and I say that very sarcastically, changing the fashion industry to be inclusive of people with disabilities.
Yeah, huge too, because just like in the world, disabilities have a stigma, right? There's a kind of an air about it that it shouldn't be, which is absolutely incorrect. It's the most ridiculous thing ever. Some of our most talented minds, creative people have been people with disabilities throughout our world's time, from existence. So that is something I wish the world would grasp onto and take such appreciation for, and give these children and adults the respect and the dignity that they deserve to be humans, just like the rest of us. And I just love that you would take this on yourself to help, like you said, the billion people who want to wear something different, who want to feel better about themselves, who want to fit into that group and want people to see them for how they want to express themselves. Absolutely. And I just think it's so beautiful, and it's incredible. Tell us about the Runway of Dreams and how that got started, and kind of the first time, if you will, and your first show.
Absolutely. So before I even had one conversation with anybody in the fashion industry, I knew, especially because I'd already been in the industry for over 20 years by that point, that I better really know what I'm talking about. If I was going to them with something that had never been done before, there were at that time 0 mainstream brands that had adaptive options or were designed for people with disabilities. So I took a year completely to just do research. So I
gather the data, right?
And also I only knew my world with Oliver. Yeah. I had to kind of check my theory. That was I right? Did somebody that had autism or a limb difference or was in a wheelchair full time, Down syndrome, did they have clothing challenges too? Or am I wrong? And maybe this is limited to just, Oliver and people with muscular dystrophy. So I really needed to really submerge myself actually in the world of disabilities. So I did focus groups and surveys and went to hospitals and schools and facilities and really, really went deep on understanding not only the different disabilities, but the commonalities between clothing challenges and different disabilities. So I was fortunate enough to be able to extrapolate out from that year that there were commonalities between different disabilities and clothing challenges. So much so that I was able to develop modifications that could be implemented into mainstream clothing, which was really my goal, was to be able to support and educate the industry that there were changes that could be made to clothing to make it easier for people with disabilities to wear mainstream clothing.
And that there was
So-
a market for it, right? And the people
Absolutely.
wanted it. People needed this.
Absolutely. So as much as the piece of understanding the population was important, to your point, it was equally as important to show that this was a business opportunity.
Yes.
That this was an untapped market. Nobody has done it before, and a huge, huge opportunity. So this took me until about 2015 when I was really ready to approach the industry. I had great prototypes. I was really able to prove kind of my theory on both ends, data-driven, from the people themselves, etc. So this is when I kind of took my very first meeting with a brand, and that brand happened to be Tommy Hilfiger. And I am so excited and grateful to say that
Amazing.
in 2016 we made fashion history, and the partnership was the first mainstream adaptive clothing line for kids that now has grown into Tommy Adaptive, which is available for kids and adults. We now work with Zappos on Zappos Adaptive, Stride Right on their Journey shoes for kids that have AFOs or prosthetics, Target, Kohl's. I can actually now announce, which I'm so excited, that JCPenney is launching an adaptive collection
Love
in
it.
the fall, and really helping to not only have the fashion industry understand the power of people with disabilities, but our world.
Absolutely.
And that is kind of one of the reasons why we decided to take this to the runway, so to speak, and really be able to raise awareness to who people with disabilities are, that they are consumers, brands that are believing in this space, and really putting it into the kind of the playground of the epicenter of the fashion industry, which is Fashion Week. So we do a big show every September during excuse me, Fashion Week. This year, it's September 9th. We will be doing it again in person, so I'm so excited about that. This year, we will have our biggest show yet. We have 54 models with all different types of disabilities, ethnicities, ages, backgrounds, and on the runway will be Kohl's is our presenting sponsor, Tommy Adaptive, Target, Zappos Adaptive, JCPenney, as well as Stride Right. So
incredible.
It's a very full-bodied show.
Woo! Oh, I can't wait. I'm so excited about that. And, you know, as timing goes, that'll be perfect. We'll probably air this episode right before that and launch just as a big promo for you on this on this show as well. So that fits perfectly in our timeline. I love that. Yes, I'm so excited about that. What types of feedback have you received from the families and the parents?
I would say that piece is the daily inspiration. In that there isn't a day that goes by that we don't receive an email or a phone call or some type of social connection on social media in regard to how not only the product, but the visibility of seeing people with disabilities in on the runways, in ad campaigns, on social media, as influencers, has really changed their life. And to be able to be a part of somebody's moment like that they feel a part of the mainstream world is extraordinary. And of course, on a personal level, I just hope that I'm and the team of Runway of Dreams and my other company, Gamut Management, which we'll talk about in a second.
Yes.
We're creating a world that I can't wait for my son to grow up in.
Yes.
And that's so exciting.
And how old is Oliver now?
He's 16 and a half. I can't believe it.
Oh,
like
amazing. And how proud of you is he? I mean, does he just share his appreciation and gratitude of what you have provided for not only him, but the world?
I really feel as proud of me as he is as proud of him as I am.
Yeah.
Because I feel like what I do on a daily is child's play compared to what he has to endure on a daily basis. So I am in awe of him and certainly my other two kids, as I'm sure you can empathize with what I'm going to say, is that sometimes it's very difficult to be the sibling of
absolutely
the child with a disability, and making everybody feel like they're getting the same attention and being as good of a mom to Oliver as I am to Stella and my other son Bo. So I this has really been a team effort in every sense of the word. My own family, my team at Runway of Dreams and Gamut, as well as the population of people with disabilities. I certainly wouldn't be where I am without the population being by my side every step of the way.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And, like I said before we started recording, you and I share that same love of the world of disabilities as a whole, and not as, conjunctive little pockets of people that I want to support them all as a whole, celebrate them all as a whole, everyone, inclusion for everyone, right? I love to say every situation should be met with kindness and inclusion. There's so many ways our world could be better and, be prepared for our future. If our children could, face things with kindness and inclusion in their minds and in their hearts. So I know I'm teaching my children that, and I know our listeners have heard me say it a million times, so they better be teaching them. Just kidding. Grace for everyone, right? Just kidding. But yeah, it's so amazing. Let's pivot a little and talk about Gamut and how Gamut Management came about and now what that provides for the community.
Absolutely.
Love
so It is a really interesting, I think, and for anybody out there that's an inspired or inspiring entrepreneur, this is the coolest part of how things can happen when you start your own company. So again, I started Runway of Dreams in 2014, and during the time of building Runway of Dreams, other opportunities kept coming to us in terms of other brands or even other industries, like the entertainment industry, started reaching out to Runway of Dreams to say, oh, well, we need somebody of, Asian ethnicity in a wheelchair for an upcoming commercial. Can you help us find somebody like that? And, of course, we're like, yes, we can. Because again, to your point earlier, we represent the population. We are not segmented. We are physical, we are cognitive, we are all ages, we are all disabilities, etc. So when these requests kept coming in on a more regular basis to a nonprofit that really doesn't do this as our mission, then I realized that there must be another hole in the market if they're reaching out to us for these asks. So in 2019, I launched Gamut Management, which is a talent management company exclusively for people with disabilities. So I use the word talent very specifically in the sense that we feel that everybody has a talent, whether that is being a part of a focus group, filling out a survey, lending your voice to how a product is developed, testing the product, where testing the product. all the way up to being in the public eye, on runways, in ad campaigns, in the entertainment industry. Because the real mission and purpose of Gamut is to rebrand who people with disabilities are in the public eye. And from also a consumer perspective, understanding that this is a huge opportunity that our world is missing out on. From a visibility perspective, but also from a consumer perspective. So having Gamut has allowed us to really work on a much deeper level with companies to be able to help them create products for people with disabilities with people with disabilities. So teams that we put together to work with brands are made up of people with disabilities. It's, I say this often, that there isn't a designer on the planet, myself included, that can design product for people with disabilities without including them in every step of the process. I learn every day from different, entities within the population or things that I would have never known because I don't have a disability. So we are really a support system now to kind of the ecosystem of companies to understand the value in including people with disabilities.
I love
in every
that.
step of
Yeah, I agree with that message 100%. And I think that, any referrals I can offer or bring, I absolutely will do that. So that's incredible.
Yes. We would love to welcome any of your listeners to come join Gamut. It is free to join. The only thing that we require is you have to have a disability.
That's fantastic. I mean, especially for our disability community, because to feel so part of something, to feel like they're part of something so special and that they're supporting one another, there's just not anything better than that. I think that that's so fantastic. So the clothing you have behind you, is that some adaptive clothing that you can show us?
It absolutely is. So this is one of the original pieces, actually, from the very first line that we did with Tommy. So again, what was really important to us was maintaining the look of the garment so that you would look at this and
not have any idea
was different about it, but really it has magnets behind the button so that it closes on its own.
Fantastic.
So again, this is a great example of a product that really can be beneficial for both cognitive and physical disabilities.
Absolutely.
It definitely takes cognitive knowledge to know that you have to put a button in a buttonhole. It goes in this specific buttonhole, etc.
Absolutely.
As well as those that physically cannot do it.
Yeah.
So, and also, I say this often, especially with brands and companies that we're working with, is that just because something has been done in the past for years and decades and centuries doesn't mean that we can't rethink it. I mean, the reality is the button and the buttonhole was developed in the 13th century. So
oh my goodness,
we are using that technology in today's day and age when we can run our entire life through this thing is preposterous.
Yeah. No, and I think that it takes change leaders like yourself to really address the whole, population and say, get a hold of yourselves. Like, this is old thinking. This is not useful thinking for us today. Absolutely. And just as I advocate, that autism, is a different way of thinking, and people need to stop looking at it as a behavioral problem and embrace this unique, beautiful way of thinking that the autism community has. And it's just so, just like you just want to get in their face and just say, come on now, let's rethink this, because this isn't working. And I completely agree. It has been such an honor to have you on the show today. And I wanted to ask you, just kind of, I shared that I have a daughter who is little still. She's only 9, but has for the last 4 years been making her own doll clothes, sewing, cutting, just beyond everything that me as a 45-year-old could do, of course. But I guess it's interest based, right? I don't have that same interest, but she is just like, how do I pursue and help her to, support these types of dreams? Where do I get started with that?
It's a great question. Different from when I was that little girl cutting and putting together and all of that.
So much more now.
So much more now. Like as you know, I'm not sure how you feel about YouTube and Pinterest and things like that, but there are literally resources out there that I think she would consume and love, how to, sew a Barbie dress, and keep it fun.
Yeah.
Keep it interesting and just let her be just creative. And think about things in a different way, which, having autism, she already does on it naturally.
I know.
So I think she's going to be an extraordinary designer.
Yeah.
Because she'll look at things from a different perspective. She'll probably figure out a better way to close.
Well, it's so cute. I told her, that I was going to talk to you, and I said, you should do some of your little sketches and stuff. And I think she was a little too nervous too, but someday I'm going to have to send them to you just for fun. But she was like, well, do you think that she would think it would be a smart idea to make compression gloves? And I said, well, of course. I mean, that's a wonderful idea. And she was like, they just don't have any designs on them. And I was like, well, that's where you create designs and you decide. Absolutely. And I mean, she's got like, I just can't believe some of the stuff that she comes up with. I think she made a shirt and a pillow when she was 5, sewed her own shirt, grandma helped her with the patchwork and stuff. It was this cute little patchwork tank top that she made. And a pillow. And I was like, we got to get these into the state fair. It never happened, but I mean, we still could, it just is like,
absolutely.
So sweet. Yeah. I just love it.
Yeah. So you have to continue to feed her creativity.
Absolutely.
That's what I would say to you.
And we really just, I have a friend who's a seamstress and gave her like a whole bag of fabrics, of scrap fabrics. So she just goes in there and puts, it makes the cutest things. There was a time where her brother, who has a more severe form of autism than she does, was really into a certain, animals, or the tea toys, those little animals. And so she would make all of them outfits, from hats and shirts and pants, like not just one outfit, but she would like clothe that they all had their own outfits to put on. It's just, and so talking to you is great because I've never really talked to another designer or anything like that. And so it's wonderful to kind of see what she may be able to do for the world someday.
And she will, and she probably will, especially if she's this interested at such a young age. Tell her to keep going.
I know.
Encourage
definitely.
her creativity.
She's already has a published book. She published her first illustrated book at 8. So she does have a published book already. Bless her little heart. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's extraordinary.
She's a go-getter. And she just loves to create. And so, and what more could you want than for your children to kind of follow in your footsteps and have like admire you, and you see it and it makes everything worth it.
I agree. I agree.
So does Oliver do the shows with you? Is he also a runway model?
Well, I would say about maybe 4 years ago, he decided he was ready to retire.
Oh.
I was like, really? So early? To give other people a chance, which I loved. But he actually at our last show we did in Miami this past March, which was awesome. If anybody wants to see it, it's on our YouTube channel on Runway of Dreams. He actually introduced me. So that was really beautiful and exciting to be able to share that moment with him. So I keep telling him that, he better, get going because I'm getting tired. So he's gonna have to take over.
Oh, that's so sweet. And does he also have a love of fashion, or do any of your
Yes.
kids? That's so cool.
Yes,
Love it.
yes, he is probably of my 3 kids. He is the most interested in fashion. He
Yeah.
really has a very specific look and vibe, and
Cool.
I love it. I love it.
I love to see their inspiration through that. When I was raising my stepdaughter, I was a new mom. I was just a stepmom at that. So you come from a different place.
Yeah.
You come from kind of a place of wanting to provide the best for and structure for her mom, because I'm not in the pic. She's not in the picture, and for her dad, because I'm trying to do that as a wife. And I think that along the line, there was a lot of like, no, you can't wear that. No, you can't dress like that. No, you can't. No. Oh. And now I see the error in my ways. And I've apologized to her a million times and she's forgiven me. But and now she dresses like, you know, in her own way that I should have let her do when she was young. But and so now we see with our other 2, okay, let's let them express themselves. Let's not try to stifle that so much. So good advice for parents, you know.
Yeah.
Colored hair and a little bit of, you know, different clothing is best for them to express themselves that way than having to find other ways to express themselves, because you won't let them do that.
Exactly. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. I think it's super important. And I don't mind saying I made the mistakes to teach others, to have them, you know, understand that
to make the mistakes.
You do.
Learn.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's for sure. Tell us your websites and where we can go to find you. And of course, I'll place all the links everywhere so we won't miss anything.
Thank you so much. So Runway of Dreams is Runway of Dreams, all one word, .org. And Gamut Management, and that's GAMUT Management, all one word, is .com.
Perfect.
And it guides you through right on the Gamut website of how to join. And any questions that anybody has, please feel free to reach out to us. Each one has an info at, and that will go right to me.
I love that. What age groups for Gamut Management, what do you look for there?
All.
Oh, great. Okay, wonderful.
Literally, like, I would say probably our youngest client is probably 2.
Oh my heavens.
All the way up.
You're kidding me. Oh, Mindy, that's incredible. That gives me chills. This has been
it is
fantastic.
Awesome. It really is incredible. And actually, one other link I'd love to give you is
please.
We also started an online talk show by the name of the Gamut Network, which is on YouTube, that we highlight different talent of Gamut, and we talk and we share stories, and it is unbelievable the journey that I've taken with so many different clients of Gamut.
I love that. I'm going to absolutely check that out. And please keep me in mind for a host for anything you might need.
Absolutely.
Got to plug that really quick, just in case anything ever happens. My mind just said, say it. I would normally never say
it.
That's okay. It's been so great to connect with you. Like I said, I was already so excited to meet you. I don't even think I slept that good last night because I was so excited to talk to you today. So
oh my God,
that's the truth. I really was. So just honored to have you here. And I love what you do. I honor and celebrate what you do in every way. And I can't wait to just stay connected. And and hopefully we would be able to come and see one of the runways one of these days. You know, we'd love to do that. So that would be fantastic.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
So grateful. Have a wonderful time and we'll talk to you soon.
You got it.